The TCL QM8 to your right of 2024 is one of the best TVs you'll probably ever see in its price range. Now, out of the box, it's not going to look like that. I am a professional TV calibrator and probably one of the better ones you're going to see. So not everybody's going to have this take on this TV to the dramatic effect that you're about to hear. This isn't a commercial or an ad for TCL. This is just something that you need to know if you're in the $999 on sale price point to $1,499 before tax. Again, no sale. So the TCL QM8 has something that is really unique about it in that it has a ton of features, and I mean a ton of features. These features allow you to get the picture closer and closer to the QD OLED's best performance with the Samsung S95D to the left. Now, I'm doing the review this way in the form of a comparison so you can see for yourself that the TCL not only holds its own with a QD OLED, but with the more time that I had to sit with it, it's actually in some areas pulling ahead. Now, this isn't something that most reviewers will tell you. They'll tell you that, again, OLEDs can never be beaten in any way really outside of bright room performance, in terms of what QD OLED or QD mini LEDs can produce. But as you are clearly seeing to the right, TCL does such an amazing job of having colors just so tack on the money to the point where you can watch over-the-air TV shows, you can play video games, and watch movies all with the same picture preset. Now, if you aren't really into TVs like all that, you have no idea how incredibly rare that is. That is one of the rarest things and most difficult things to ever do on a television. Not even the Samsung S95D can pull that off. For perspective, the Samsung S95D costs substantially more money, and no, the TCL doesn't just trouse it and beat it. In fact, as you're seeing in this example, highlight detail will be preserved better on the Samsung. Any real highlight that's tiny or large will just be preserved, especially if it's on a near black scene or background. That is unfortunately where TCL falls apart. Because they are trying to stop you from seeing disgusting blooming, your TV will dim from time to time, and it will be really dim to the point where it will feel like a kind of feature that OLEDs used to have back in the day called ABL, which was an automatic brightness limiter. Well, that's kind of what happens here to stop blooming. Now, full screen brightness is going to be incredible on the TCL, and most scenes will look like it looks right now, just like freaking amazing. But again, it's when you come out of black or near black that you start to notice the difference between OLED and QD OLED. But I mean, yes, there's a difference, but look at how beautiful the TCL is. And that's what I keep going back to time after time after time. The TCL is just a beautiful TV. There are no two ways about it. There is no filibustering around. The SDR performance is what this TV is mostly being graded on. The reason for that is because HDR doesn't have an industry standard. And as I mentioned before, I am a professional calibrator. So I have nothing to calibrate to. HLG, Dolby Vision, HDR10 Plus, there is no real standard. We don't even have a format selected as the main format. So I can't really work with that, but SDR is consistent. And when you have something with consistent results and you're working and calibrating, the TCL shines like nothing in its price range. And I can safely say, even if you start going well above, I would be really ready to venture that this would even give the Bravia 9 one hell of a run for its money in a lot of ways and decimate it in the black level department. I have never seen an LED TV, QD, mini LED, or otherwise, this deep, this inky, and this rich for black levels. It just isn't happening for any other TV. This TV with TCL's QM851G has made me believe in the potential of QD OLEDs, or rather QD mini LEDs, like I've never believed in them. Typically, there's always some side effect, there's always some blooming, there's always some excuse as to why you're not getting the black levels that they advertise. TCL gives you no blooming. I have literally tested this in every example I could think of. Movies running the credits. I've had small highlights on the screen. I've had test patterns, challenging demos. Nothing has been able to trip up this TCL. This is the 65-inch variation for those who are wondering. And again, everything that I have seen on this TCL has been nothing short of amazing as far as the black level control. Now, again, it is a really bright TV, the TCL. It gets over, 4,000 nits, give or take, but it's not usable brightness. Here we get to the negative portion of this review. The brightness is just generally bright to be bright, but it doesn't put the brightness where the brightness is supposed to go. So if there's a sun in the sky, it's going to make the clouds in the background all bright. Where on something like, let's say, a QD OLED like the S95D, it's going to put the brightness on the sun and just the sun, and the background will stay dark, creating contrast, micro contrast. And that is something TCL does not have. Even though they have a feature called micro contrast, it just doesn't do a good job of separating the foreground from the background well enough. Now, again, you have to be able to accept dimming down your picture if you are trying to get a similar level of contrast and control like we have on an OLED. As you see here, it's obviously dimmer. This is a significantly brighter TV, but if I did that, it would just wash out the entire picture, because that's really what TCL does. If you go for the max amount of brightness that the TCL can output, you will have an extremely washed out picture. If you are after depth, you're going to have to sacrifice some of that brightness to get those details back. It's a brightness versus details thing, and this is honestly in every single walk of the TV industry where they, regardless of manufacturer, have to make a choice. Then TCL, unfortunately, will lose its color and wash out its picture the brighter it gets. Now, not to say that it's all doom and gloom, because as you're clearly seeing here, you can reel that in and you can get an enjoyable picture and it will look amazing. As you again are clearly seeing up against a TV that is a flagship with Pantone validated colors, completely certified up the wazoo as far as being accurate. And you see that again, both TVs fully calibrated using my settings. It's amazing. It's a treat of treats. And I literally go back and forth. 1 minute I'm watching the Samsung and I'm like, oh my God, they have amazing highlights. And the other, I'm looking at the TCL and I'm like, they have spectacular color. It is such a beautiful thing to see a day where we have a TV that is $999 that isn't over $2,500 that can give us this picture quality, because I truly, honest to God, feel like I have most of the experience of a truly elegant, truly premium television. No, the speakers out of the box are not going to come fully optimized, but with some tuning and some tweaking, you can get your speakers sounding really lovely, and the knock of that bass is nice. It's a little tinny, but it is beautiful, and the audio is crystal clear without any tinniness at all. It's just the bass that kind of gets a little tinny, if you will. But that's really the only downside to the audio. The design is elegant. The entire time I've had this thing, I've just looked at it on my media console and thought, holy shit, this looks better than the S95D in every way. This looks like a millionaire's TV. You just feel rich when you look at it in your home. And I don't know any other way to say that. You don't feel like some poor man buying some cheap Chinese TV because you couldn't afford the big three, Samsung, Sony, and LG. It feels like you bought a flagship TV and it's premium is all hell, and it really does feel that way. I'm not even joking. The anti-glare screen works so freaking good in comparison to even what the Samsung is doing that I haven't seen any reflections. I haven't seen anything noteworthy that would break my experience up. Yes, if you have an overhead light and you are purposely shining for reflections, obviously, no duh, you're going to see them, but generally I had no issue with that. Now, game mode is where things kind of take a turn for the worse. If you're a gamer, the gaming experience, input lag is great, wonderful, fantastic, okay, but it's just jittery like all the other game modes. So it's not really anything to brag about, but it's also not terrible either. I think for casual gamers like myself that play story-driven games, you're going to want a game in movie mode, and you're going to want to turn on the performance mode aspect of that, where it locks to 50 to 60 hertz, because that's where you see the smoothest motion I've ever seen on an LED ever, and honestly, venturing towards one of the smoother TVs I've, honest to goodness, ever seen in my entire life. Now again, as we see from this white screen, it's really bright, and it does a wonderful job of keeping a good quality brightness, but again, when it gets to things that get a little dark, you're gonna notice that dimming. And I think this is going to bug some people. I know it's going to bug some people, but again, tomato, you have to pick your poison. Like, there are just some things a TV is not going to give you, and it is. And I think that's where we kind of come to the table now and say, okay, yes, it has some downgrades, obviously, comparatively to something like the Samsung S95D to the left. However, am I really seeing so much of a difference that like the TCL is not even worth mentioning? No, I can't say that, because I can say if you still have a fear of burn-in, or you know for a fact you are going to fall asleep with your TV on a regular basis and you don't want to risk burning it in, I cannot say that a 65-inch for $999 is not the smart move, especially when it's the TCL QM8. It has done everything right that I needed it to do, from streaming to audio to anti-glare to brightness to motion processing to color rendering. The only issue that I have with the TCL QM8 at this point is that it just frankly isn't as three-dimensional as a $2,500 TV. When that is my only complaint and critique, I can say that this is probably one of the most phenomenal TVs you will ever have the privilege of seeing in your life if you end up buying this. And I highly, 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 highly recommend, if you do end up buying either of these TVs, the S95D or the QM851G, get my settings. It is $4.99 on this channel, and I am not saying that as some commercial for myself. I'm saying that because these TVs are truly capable of so much more than what they ever will look like out of the box. Out of the box, a TCL will not impress you like I'm speaking of. It will be pale, it will be washed out because they go for all-out brightness. It doesn't look generally very good. Now, you can get around that with great settings. I've said this in almost every video, and I will continue to say so, but what I am going to drive home is just how stunning this thing has been. Now, I can't show you movies, I can't show you sports, because copyrights will have those taken down pretty much instantaneously, but I can tell you this. If you are serious at all about any media at all, you are going to love what this TV does for you. It is going to transform your experience beyond that of a regular TV. And I'm telling you right now, budget customer or not, rich person or not, the TCL QM8 has some of the best, if not, I'm going to say it, the best black levels you will ever find on a mini LED in 2024. I have not seen a single thing come close to this. This is on an entirely different playing field. Fuck, we're trying to get on the same page, and we're not even in the same library. That's what the TCL is saying to every other mini LED manufacturer when we talk about their black level control. The way TCL did it is the correct way, and everybody needs to take note, because TCL is putting everybody on notice saying, hey, listen, I can give you the experience of a $2,500 TV more or less for a fraction of the price. Because if you look at these colors, you look at the control it has, in a lot of ways, it is giving you the vast majority of the picture quality, and you're not having to pay a lot of the money. And in examples like this, the blue is better. Look at the blue, it's better. There are moments where it literally has better color rendering than what the $2,500 TV has. Let that sink in. And with that video, I want to say I highly recommend the TCL QM8. I think it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute sleeping giant that not enough people are talking about. It's definitely not getting the credit that it deserves, because the Bravia 9 being so expensive and having the Sony name is what everybody's drooling over. But I'm showing you this review this way, not the ad way, not the B-roll vlogger YouTuber way. I'm showing you my review this way so that you can see a real world example of multiple gaming footages, because that usually goes just fine. I can show you that, and you can see side by side comparatively to a TV that is $2,599 before tax, just for a 55-inch. This TCL is doing wonders. I mean absolute wonders, and it is absolutely a no-brainer to pick this up if you are on the market for one of these two TVs. So hopefully this helps you guys out. I want to thank you guys so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty. If you have any more questions, let me know in the comments down below. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.